Oh, oh my God!
The supernatural. Think of this as a box of hidden secrets that has remained undiscovered for centuries. In this 6-part series, we plan to unlock that box and explore the mysteries that have, up until now, been classified as phenomena.
Do you believe in ghosts? Are poltergeists merely a figment of our imagination? And can psychics and clairvoyants really speak to the spirits of the dead? Well, over the next 60 minutes, we plan to change your views on all things paranormal.
Our research has shown that the timeless definition of a ghost, complete with dripping ectoplasm and clanking chains, is no more than an image created by Hollywood. An image that couldn't be further from the truth.
We start in southeast London at an ancient Jacobean manor, which some say is one of Europe's most haunted buildings. Let's join our clairvoyant team now as they try and tune into the spooks and the spectres who are said to haunt Charlton House.
I've never seen her, only almost like a cloud across the moon of a grey lady walking across the grass outside the long gallery and the grand salon windows. And that is carrying either a bundle of clothes or a child. I can see her down there.
Is this the woman that
Yes.
you were linking with before?
Yes, I can see her.
And she's aware of you again?
Absolutely, she's aware of me. I can sense her presence.
Here we see clairvoyants Marion Goodfellow and Paul Hanrahan exploring the building for the first time.
Well, I was in the garden and I was aware of a lady presence in the garden with a parasol, and she twisting the parasol around in a sort of Edwardian or late Victorian outfit.
Okay.
That's what I felt. I felt that there were children around her, but I didn't know whether she was a nurse or the mother.
When Paul, as we see him there, is saying he's seeing a figure in front of him, what's he actually seeing?
As far as I'm aware, Paul perceives spirit. That's like seeing it in his mind's eye.
So you could say he's perhaps imagining it?
Well, yes, you could say
Hope
that.
his wife doesn't know. What about you? Do you experience spirits in the same way?
No, I've always been able to see spirit in a three-dimensional image.
So you're actually seeing them with your eyes?
I'm seeing with my eyes.
And Paul is perceiving them in his mind?
Perceiving them in his mind, yes.
Okay. What about these orbs that people talk about? I mean, we've seen these in the
Well,
past.
this is what we've been actually doing, is we've been, as I'm seeing spirit, we've been taking a photograph, and what's actually coming out is not the person that I'm actually seeing, but this orb of light, this fabulous globe.
Okay. And you were telling me earlier on we're not to call them orbs, we've got to call them fantastic globes.
That's right.
Up in the long gallery, clairvoyant Paul Hanrahan appears to sense some kind of invisible energy.
It's not spirit, but there's an energy there. It could be an electric cable or water pipe.
Something, yeah.
But it's just something
there. What is it you can feel when you do that? What's it you're actually feeling with your hand?
It's like you know when you put your hand over an ioniser?
Yeah.
Similar to the breeze that you feel off of an ioniser.
Okay, so the sort of a static.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
The staff at Charlton House have their own stories to tell.
And basically, we were going across to go down the old staircase. We noticed that the lights were on in the long gallery, and the person who was with me, we jokingly said, "Oh, it must be the ghost." And he ran down the stairs and left me to it. So what I did, I went in the room to switch the lights off, but I couldn't get past the fireplace. But the set of lights which were on were further into the long gallery. So, you know, I'm afraid the lights got left on all night.
There's a coldness here.
Why is it that I'm never able to experience the coldness that you and other mediums feel?
It's all about senses. It's all about your senses, and you'll often see a medium go like this. It's almost, it's like a breeze, a soft breeze blowing against you, and so you put your hand in, and seeing if it isn't a draft, it is the, you know, it is an energy.
If it's the real thing.
Is it the real thing?
And there's one here now.
Yes, definitely.
Andy Mathews, fitted with a camera body kit, went off alone into the areas of the building that some of the camera crew were too afraid to enter.
Now this place is supposed to be home to a poltergeist, but the only thing crashing about at the moment is me. But it does feel a bit uneasy, to say the least. I'm going to move forward into this room here. Oh God. There's a strange feeling in here. It's like an electrical charge, like it's very uneasy. It looks like a bedroom of some sort. It could have been a child's bedroom, but I think you'll get more than you bargain for if you spend the night in here. I'm getting out of here anyway. I'll go back downstairs now.
The footage you are watching was pre-recorded for TV compliance for inclusion in a live ITV show called Haunted Halloween.
William Langhorne is the ghost that is most seen through the house because he's the most distinctive, and he wears a period costume, and he's in solid form rather than a grey film as most of them are. He was known as a ladies' man, and there have been instances where people have had their bottoms tweaked.
I like this one though.
He likes the ladies, don't he? I knew that. I have a feeling that's not, wine is not all he indulges in. Would I be right?
This gentleman came over, almost as if he walked in, very authoritative. Beautiful brocade waistcoat.
So you actually saw him?
I saw him.
Okay.
Quite a chubby man with a long, white, powdery type wig. Like the judges wear.
Sort of Edwardian or Georgian?
Earlier than that.
Right.
This was a beautiful waistcoat with a heavy brocade jacket with the cuffs turned back. It was... I'm not very good at history, but he was definitely... He wanted to know what I was doing here.
Okay.
And I got it was a strange name. It was like Ray or Weir or something like that. It was a W.
As we can see there, and I'm sure the viewers saw, you were making a pass at Maz. Do you actually remember doing that?
Well, I actually have a little recollection of that incident. When I'm in trance, you've got to understand that spirit communicating directly through me, and I'm not really aware of what's being said.
Do you also, as well, I don't know if you remember, when Andy was sat next to you, you actually shunned Andy as well, and you were just interested in us three women there. Do you ever remember that part?
I have no recollection of that at all.
No?
No, none at all.
How does it actually feel when you're in that trance? Can you feel anything that's actually happening to you?
Not at the time. When I come out of trance sometimes, if the spirit that's been communicating through me has a strong personality or is very emotional, I will have an after effect. It's very brief, but I will feel that emotion or the sadness or their personality, but only for a brief time.
Well, it must be an amazing experience, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
The one in the attic is not William Langhorne, but seems to be more of a poltergeist, childlike apparition, as it were.
Mary, sir.
Mary, hello, Mary.
Hello.
And what do you do, Mary?
I need tender fire, sir.
Later that night, myself and Sophie joined clairvoyants Marion Goodfellow, Diana Jarvis and Paul Hanrahan in a closed circle. I bet the work's hard. Do you enjoy?
Yes,
Who do you serve? Who's your master?
Mrs. Norris downstairs.
Mrs. Norris?
Yeah.
Does Mrs. Norris have a husband?
Marion has gone into trance and is apparently channeling the spirit of one of Charlton House's ghostly residents.
Mrs. Norris is in charge of you.
Housekeeper.
Cook. Yeah. Work in the kitchens.
Fires, I do fires. Just the fires.
Who's the master of the house?
Master. Just
the master. And how old are you?
8.
8? Now, apparently dogs have a sixth sense and are sensitive to paranormal activity. So let's see if our little Scooby-Doo Betty can pick anything up. There we go. Come here, girl. What we got? Right, she's missed that bit. The medium's actually found something here earlier, like a cold spot. So, yeah, failed that one. Let's see what else we can do. Pick anything up, girl. Go on. Well, she looks quite happy to me. We got, girl. We got. Betty. Betty. Well, this is interesting because some paranormal activity was actually picked up by mediums just down here. So whether or not she's sensing anything or not is difficult to assume, but let's have a look. What you got, girl? What are you sniffing out? She's very well behaved, or she just likes this spot. Again, this is where Paul and Maz picked up on some kind of energy. It doesn't seem to frighten her. Try over here, girl. Well, there we are. She seems to like this area of the staircase. I think it's quite possible that we can assume that that is a hit, as we call it. Would you believe it? A medium dog.
Do you actually think dogs actually have a psychic power?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, it's well known and documented that dogs can hear and sense and see things better than we can.
So have you actually been with an animal when it's actually picked up the same kind of things that you're feeling?
I have seen animals react when I've been working in a mediumistic way. And so I know that they're sensing something around me and something in the room.
So you're sitting around in a group of people in Charlton House.
Maurice Grosse is a leading figure in paranormal research circles and has been involved in many investigations, including the famous Enfield poltergeist case. He has been to Charlton House before and encountered what he believes to be the legendary poltergeist that frequents the Long Gallery.
I was sitting by the fireplace, cameraman was sitting in front of me. Suddenly there was a tremendous explosion inside the gallery.
Wow.
We rushed to switch the lights on. And lo and behold, in the middle of the gallery was a cup broken into 5 sections.
So you'd heard a very loud noise in the dark, and there were some other people in the room at the time.
Absolutely, yes.
What was your initial reaction to that? Did you not sort of think, oh, somebody's playing a trick?
My initial reaction is, what the hell was that? You see, when we turned on the lights, there was this cup. Now, where did this cup come from? Certainly, I had nothing to do with it. The cameraman had nothing to do with it. And the other person in the room had certainly hadn't thrown it. But the interesting thing is that it had broken into 5 pieces in a circle about this round. Now, we tried later on to repeat this by throwing a cup up into the air or throwing it right along the gallery to smash on the ground. We couldn't get a cup to break, a similar type of cup.
So you were trying to basically test if it had been somebody playing a trick on you?
Yes, test if somebody was playing a trick.
Right.
Well, obviously it hadn't, because we couldn't get the cups to break.
Right.
Eventually, to get it to break, we had to get somebody to stand on a chair and smash it down onto the ground.
And what was the effect of that?
The effect was it broke into 1,000 pieces and shot right along around the gallery.
So that was very different to what you actually found when you turned the lights on?
What happened to us was completely different. I mean, there were 5 big pieces. The sort of cup had sort of fallen apart almost.
How did you feel after finding the cup broken there, I mean, obviously your initial reaction will have been of part scepticism because there are other people there, naturally having an analytical and scientific approach to the investigation. After you had done that experiment and found that you couldn't replicate the effect, how did that make you feel?
Well, I was quite certain in my own mind that it was a genuine apport. That means something that had been somewhere else and had been apported into the room.
So transported
into the room.
Paranormally.
Paranormally.
Right.
Well, it couldn't have come normally because we'd searched the room beforehand, so it certainly wasn't normally.
One of the particular interesting things about the case is the fact that I believe when you spoke to the caretaker and the people who work in Charlton House and showed them the pieces of the cup, it didn't match any cup that they believed existed in the building. Is that correct?
Well, the caretaker said that as far as she knew, there was nothing like that in the building. She couldn't swear to it, but certainly not one that would have been available to the public.
You are a psychologist. Now, you've been watching
Professor Christopher French is a psychologist from Goldsmiths College in London. He remains unconvinced.
Well, I can't say I've seen anything there that would actually, convince me at the moment.
So you're open to the possibility?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, the general problem is that, there's an awful lot of ways in which people might think that there is some kind of connection. So if we see that the mediums pick up on some kind of energy from apparently the same place, then maybe that's a connection.
So you think we're reading coincidences, or perhaps we're looking at coincidences,
I think
really?
we may well be.
Okay.
If something coincides with the historical record, then that's seen as a match. If something coincides with something that other people have seen on entirely different occasions, then that's seen as a match. But there's an awful lot of room for coincidences there.
Okay. So not convinced just yet.
Not convinced just
but there's
yet.
still time.
Broadcasters are generally uneasy about clairvoyants who seem to contact the dead on live television. For this reason, some images you are about to see were judged as being too disturbing to be shown on national television.
Are you her mother? Can you give us your name?
Charles.
Charles, hello Charles.
Pritchard.
Who's taken Alice? Do you know who's taken?
Sister. Oh, below stairs. Fetch Alice. For God's sake! Fuck! Charles! Fuck! Oh. Fine, Charles! Alice, Alice. Oh, Alice. 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 Alice.
Do you feel anything coming up here?
I do. Just here.
There?
Yeah. A presence there.
That's quite interesting.
Okay, I'm getting a small presence, like a lady.
Right.
Okay. I'm feeling quite a lot of emotion with this lady. And I feel she's running down the stairs.
The feeling's getting stronger and I feel quite tearful.
Is this still the lady that
yes.
you're connecting with?
I feel quite anxious. I want to look over the banister.
Okay. Clive and Jan, you are both historical researchers and you've been digging around in these books trying to find out if anything corroborates with the mediums. What have you found so far?
Certainly some of the names they've picked up on we can match with local census records.
Okay, what names have you actually come up with that match?
Alice and a Mary, and basically they're house servants.
Okay, now Mary and Alice obviously are quite common names, I think you have to agree, especially in the era that we're looking at. What particular aspects of those characters match what Marion and Paul have said in the séance situations?
Basically, the mentioning of starting fires, well...
Tending the fires.
Tending the fires, well, yes, that's right.
And that would have been something that Mary would have done.
Mary would have done, that's right, yes.
Yeah, she was a kitchen maid, which would have been one of her duties.
Okay, what about the William character that we had? Have you found him at all?
Oh, there's plenty
the naughty ghost.
There's lots about William.
He's the one you want to meet, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
What did you find out about him, Jan?
William was, he purchased Charlton House in 1680. He was a bachelor.
So he actually owned the building?
Yes, he did. He lived here with his brother. and they had lots of bachelor parties.
Okay, we won't go there. But,
so, you know, he was a ladies' man.
He definitely was a ladies' man.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah, definitely.
Yes, yeah, I was, and he definitely was.
Yeah.
With Alice, is there any in the books? Is there any information of her actually getting lost in any way that they were saying in the seance?
We looked for Alice as much as we could, and basically, this is the censors only go back to 1851 anyway.
Right.
So, you know, this is the Alice that we found.
That's the only one that you've got.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got more digging to do. I know you've been in the local libraries and places. Lots more to do. Do you use the internet as well?
We have, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
very limited
Yeah.
on the internet, but...
Done all you can, basically. Thanks very much for your research.
Okay. Thank
Keep working on it, and thanks both very much indeed.
The Ghost team have exclusive use of new blacklight technology called BVS cameras. Here we see the designer of the equipment, Roger ALLSOPP, explaining why it might offer the team their best chance yet of catching a ghost on film.
Normally we can see what we're doing, but all this equipment is designed to work in total darkness, so we can't see it at all. But the cameras can.
So it's a perfect kind of apparatus for the old Ghostbusters.
Well, we hope so. I mean, let's try it and see. But certainly, if you can see it by eye, it should get picked up on this camera. If you can't see it by eye, it might get picked up on this camera.
I'm intrigued.
It's called BVS, Beyond the Visible Spectrum. So we're operating outside of the limits of the human eye, and in fact most animal eyes as well. Cats can't see this equipment working, but we can watch them trying to go about their business. You know.
So Betty the dog wouldn't have any idea what's going on?
None at all. We watch foxes at home in our garden, and they have no idea that we can see them closely up on camera.
Okay, now the idea of this experiment is to try and attract these spectral orbs.
Right.
How successful do you think we'll be with this type of equipment?
Well, as I understand it, we sometimes see them by eye, and there's a lot of times when we don't. This might help for the times when we don't see it.
Right. Okay. So you never know, guys. We may get something with this. Let's hope. And it's called BVS.
Yes, it's Beyond the Visible Spectrum.
Let's see.
That is actually a lamp. This is a camera. The camera is very similar to a studio camera, not quite the same shape, and it hasn't got quite the same design capacity built into it, but nevertheless it works very much the same. And I'll just fire it at that lamp and see if it's working.
Let's hope we'll get some results. Brilliant. Okay.
We've probably looked at 85 to 90% of the evidence that's been offered to us and eliminated it as having a more rational or logical explanation. But it's that 10 to 15% that we can't find the logical explanation for that really intrigues me and that's driven us on.
You are the co-founder of the Phantom or Fraud Project, and you're an expert in paranormal photography. What exactly are we looking at here on this photograph that was caught a little time ago?
Well, this is what most of the team consider to be an orb. Trying to determine exactly
when you say they
what
consider it an orb, what do you think orbs are?
Well, we have a difference of opinion, you see. From my point of view, this is something that's like an out-of-focus point of light.
Right.
What that point of light actually is, whether it's a reflected piece of dust or whether it's something...
So it may not be paranormal at all?
Well, I tend to sort of try and keep an open mind on these things, and there are many orbs that we get given to me. I mean, we got several tonight that, to me, appear to be just as dust.
How would you answer the question that's often put to people in the paranormal world that orbs didn't exist until digital cameras did?
Well, with any new piece of technology, you get all sorts of strange phenomena starting to appear. The digital camera phenomena is a very raw piece of technology. It's still being refined and modified, and as such, you're going to get all sorts of strange things appearing on your screen. Now, when we explain that, is that something that naturally exists, or is it something that's a fault of the camera? Now,
Truth is, we don't know at the moment.
Well, we've done various experiments to test out the theory that it's a fault within the camera, and we've eliminated that.
Completely?
Basically, yes.
Okay, so I suppose there's that famous saying that if you eliminate all other causes, what's left has got to be the truth.
Okay, Neil, now we're here to try an experiment. Can you tell us a bit more what the experiment's about? Neil Fellows is one of the team leaders and also runs his own paranormal investigation group, Paranormal Dimensions, based in Norfolk.
We want to photograph them. We're also putting a camera outside of the door to see if we can capture fleeing orbs, like a sort of intelligence test.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, when I usually walk around and pick up something, you know, like an electrical charge or something and take a photograph, that's usually when I get an orb. I've never actually tried anything like this. Do you think it's going to be successful?
Fingers crossed.
Have you ever tried it before?
We have.
And?
Mixed results.
Oh, mixed results. OK, well, let's hope we can get something. OK, if you want to arrange your team, Neil, tell us what you're going to do and arrange everybody.
The Phantom or Fraud Project now is probably one of the largest organisations in the world researching paranormal phenomena. We have a massive membership base, we run paranormal training courses, we're, I suppose, a source of information for a lot of the other smaller groups around the world, so it's become quite a phenomenon in its own right.
OK, they're going to start flashing in there.
Andy Mathews has been nicknamed the Orb Catcher because of his ability to photograph alleged paranormal images on camera. But can sceptic Chris French achieve similar results?
To press, mate.
Right. OK, stop. Far away.
OK. Nothing.
OK, keep going.
Just hold it down.
Keep going, yep.
Stand
back a bit, stand back a bit.
OK.
And fire, fire. Quick, get one.
There we go. Nope.
You got a lovely...
Try again.
Yeah, you got a lovely picture of an oak door. OK. All right, well, let's see. There's another guy at the other end. Let's see what he's got, and we'll come to some kind of conclusion at the end of it. Anyway. Thanks very much, Chris.
OK.
Thanks a lot.
This is the piece...
Mike Rogers is the team's EVP expert. He records what he believes to be the voices of the dead on his digital sound recording equipment.
It's gone, yeah, which is really odd, because I can't explain it. And then we recorded later on, we recorded Caroline's voice for some comparison.
I'm with Mike Rogers, he's the EVP man of the Phantom or Fraud investigation team. Now, Mike, you were with us at Charlton House.
That's right.
Some footage has come to light of a floating orb, or what appears to be a floating orb, in one of the rooms. Do you remember anything about that night? Can you tell me what it felt like?
Well, I had some really strange feelings in the particular room where we were filming. I remember walking around while I was being filmed in that room, and at one point I felt a tingling feeling go from my head to toe on the right side of my body, which is quite unusual. I don't often feel these sort of things. And then we carried on. We were doing some EVP experiments, and we all sat down on chairs. We have 4 chairs. And as I sat down, we were just going to start, I started to feel really emotional. I felt like I wanted to cry. And it was so strong, I had to sort of fight it off and stop.
Why do you think that was? What do you think was the cause of that?
It started probably about 20 minutes before that. I was setting up my equipment, we were doing different experiments for the EVP, and all of a sudden I started to feel a bit agitated. My mood changed suddenly, and there wasn't any real reason.
It's not the first time this has happened to you, because at an investigation down at Avebury last year, I believe it was, we went into one of the rooms, I was with you.
That's right,
I asked you to sit in the chair and conduct one of your EVP experiments, and lo and behold, 2 floating orbs
came from under the chair.
Under your legs and away.
Yeah, well, I do also, when this sort of thing happens, I do sometimes feel tingling or different effects myself.
Team leader Amanda Stockley was filming in one of the rooms at Charlton House when suddenly something strange happened. Could this be one of the floating orbs the team speak of? The footage you are watching has been slowed down to 25% of its original speed, and the team have studied the images in both normal and negative conditions. Even the usually sceptical Graham Mathews has no concrete explanation as to what this could be.
I think it is a moth, basically. Certainly in some of that footage, it actually seemed to me that you could quite clearly actually see wings flapping there. I think there's other things we need to take into account, because it does actually appear as if there's a kind of pulsating effect as well, which is quite interesting. And the lights outside the window seem to be pulsating with the same kind of frequency. But again, not being an expert on these things, but I'd expect that to be the case. Let's face it, the light source that's lighting up the moth is going to be kind of reflecting that. So if it's a reflected light that we're getting from the moth, assuming it is a moth. There's other effects as well. It kind of seems to change size, but the thing to bear in mind there is that we don't actually know how far or how near to the camera lens it was at the time that's happening. And without those kind of cues to distance, we really don't have any idea how big that object is. I suspect it's a moth that's flying around, maybe even being blown around a little bit, who knows, but that's what we're looking at.
So
there.
you say you suspect it's a moth, you're not 100%?
Oh no, I couldn't be 100% sure it's a moth, but I mean basically from my point of view, before I'd accept that there's anything kind of paranormal happening there, I'd want to rule out all of those more mundane explanations, and for me, if I had to bet on it, I'd definitely put my money on the moth.
Checking the apparent distance from the camera and the size of the room, we estimate the object to be travelling over 100 miles an hour. Well, that's certainly faster than any moth I have ever encountered. There seems to be in there, especially in the negated image, there seems to be flapping wings. Now, that's a bit odd. I mean, that's quite extraordinary, because one of our mediums, and he is sane, he's a good friend of ours and a very trusted colleague, it tends to run with the idea that this could be something like an elemental, or some people call a fairy. What are your views on that kind of idea?
Well, I mean, you look back at the kind of the history of reports of fairies, and one of the interesting things is, I mean, I'll kind of quite often ask my students how many of them believe in fairies. And very few of them do, surprisingly enough. Now, one of the interesting things is that if you look back at the kind of history of this, you'll find that round about the kind of turn of the last century, there were lots of reports of people seeing fairies. There were kind of reports from, well-established members of the community. There was photographic evidence. All the kind of things that we see these days, that some of what we're seeing here, and there were people announcing that people like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle writing books about fairies. So clearly people took the idea very seriously. Now that's an idea that seems to have run its time for most people. I mean, for our medium friend there, he thinks that obviously that was possibly a fairy.
I must admit, in the
21st
century, I tend to, manage the levels of disbelief with that kind of theory. But
it's interesting you see it's a relative thing, that if it would have been kind of, if fairies were a current, at the moment angels are making a big comeback, and that's what seems to happen in the world of the paranormal. You get certain kinds of ideas that take hold, they catch on, there are programs about them, there are books about them, and then they go away again, If these things are real, if fairies are real, if angels are real, if orbs are real, then we ought to kind of see that evidence, repeatedly throughout the centuries, not coming and going along with the kind of media-related fads. Anybody who's got a genuinely open mind has got to admit that we don't know. Yeah, there's always the possibility. For me, it's personally, I'd say it's a very, very slight, very, very tiny possibility. But yeah, I can't say I conclusively know what that was, and it was a moth. I think, I'd put money 95% certain it's a moth, but I could be wrong.
5% remaining.
I could be wrong.
We're live in a haunted house, but do you really believe all this ghost rubbish?
Yes, ghosts don't exist, and
Why?
I know and also you saw one earlier.
I didn't see a ghost, I saw something that I can't explain, and there was no door, there was no way that if it was a person they could have got away. But you saw it too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did see it. It was a ghost.
But you believe in them already?
Yeah, but what else
could it be? Is it just
wishful
thinking?
No, it's not wishful thinking. It was a ghost and you know it.
OK, well maybe we'll change our mind if we survive right the way through till tomorrow morning.
With seemingly no rational or logical explanation, the footage joins the team's increasing archive of video clips classified as phenomena.
Okay, something actually quite strange is going on in one part of the building. We're not quite sure what it is yet. Perhaps somebody will let us know. In the Dutch room, upstairs. So perhaps that's a sign.
It's the ghost that's come back.
Are you sure?
What else could it be?
You want to believe too much. I'm sorry, you do.
It is. He doesn't believe in it.
But you have a sort of blind faith to this. You want to believe that after we die, there's something more, something beyond, which I suppose most people do. So
there has to be something more than this.
Why does there have to be?
Because they just I don't believe that that's it. You live on this earth and then you die and that's it. There's got to be something after for you to go to.
But that could just be wishful thinking. I mean,
no.
Can you not just accept the point that we are flesh, bones and blood, and when we drop, that's it?
Yes, but you've got a soul and your soul has to go somewhere. You can't just die and that's it. You've got to have a soul to go somewhere. And I believe that you've got to go somewhere. So...
But you actually believe in the soul. I mean, you've said there the word soul, so you obviously believe we have a soul.
Yes.
But what's your basis for believing that?
My basis is because everybody has one. That is your body, okay, and inside that is you as a person.
Okay.
Okay, this doesn't make you. Your inside makes you, which is your soul. Okay, so when you die, this is just your shell for you to walk around on this earth on, as they say.
Right.
Okay, so each of us have something which makes us who we are, individual, and that's what goes to the next life. As far as I might be wrong, but that's
so you're admitting
I'm
you
not.
might
Yeah,
be
but I'm
wrong.
not. You know, I'm not a medium.
But
and
you
I can't
do
say I'm
believe?
totally wrong. Yeah, I totally believe. It's got to be something. Everything, all the certain strange things that have happened in here and in other places.
And you've
in the
had,
world.
yeah, I was going to say.
I've had experience. I've felt something before. And I felt I've seen something before as well. But this can't be it. There's got to be a heaven. This is hell. This place is...
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Perhaps it's not as brilliant as it could be sometimes. But you're known as Psychic Sophie, so are you really psychic?
Like I said, I do palmistry and I do psychometry.
What is psychometry?
Psychometry is when you actually hold someone's jewellery and you can get vibes from them. You can.
What's the theory of why that actually works?
It's just the feelings that you're feeling comes through from your jewellery, and because you wear it all the time, it just holds emotions that you're feeling. That's what.
But surely, if you're talking about a piece of jewellery such as a ring or a necklace, it's either leather or it's metal. How on earth can that tell you anything about how I'm feeling or anything about me?
It just the emotions. And
yeah, but how?
I don't know. I'm not.
It just does.
It just does. I don't know the scientific part of it. I just know that I can do it, and that's what I can do. You know.
And have you always had this gift?
Well, my mum's got the gift, and I've just learned from her, and it just goes.
So you've inherited it.
Yeah.
It's in your blood.
It is in my blood.
So
But I want to know, why are you such a cynic? Why don't you believe in it?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, I used to believe in ghosts and things like this. I've seen images of things in front of me which I can't explain, which some people would call ghosts. But I'm not now somebody that will subscribe to the fact that those are spirits of dead people that we're actually seeing. I think it's much more likely to be something from our mind as an exteriorisation.
So you have seen ghosts? You've seen ghosts?
I didn't say that. Norris, something strange has just been happening in one of the rooms. What's been going on?
Yes, we were sitting around the table doing EVPs and taking photographs. The torch has rolled off the table. It's fallen onto its side.
Rolled off the table, literally?
It actually banged on the table, and we felt out on the table to see what it was, and it rolls along the table and onto the floor. We tried to recreate it by banging and pushing the table, but it doesn't fall over.
And you actually saw this with your own eyes?
We've actually got it on DV tape and sent it downstairs.
Good Lord. And I take it you've photographed some amazing orbs in there as well?
I've got some fantastic orbs.
Well, can we get a shot of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, OK. Oh, yeah. Well, if the viewers at home can see that, that is quite remarkable. Now, I've seen these before, but that is very, very bright. How many have you got in there, Nori?
The amount of orbs?
Yeah.
I would say we've got about 6 brilliant white orbs.
So that's quite exciting stuff.
Yes, well, we don't put these ones down to dust. We've got lots that we have put down to dust.
Right. What about you say it's kind of, you've actually experienced poltergeist activity, is what you're saying. Was this something you've felt before or experienced before? Is it something completely new to you?
No, we have experienced poltergeist activity before on other investigations. But we can't explain this at all. We cannot. It's unexplainable. As we say, we've tried to reconstruct it, and we can't get it to fall over by moving and banging the table. So it's unexplainable.
Where is it?
So, just how did a torch that had been standing on a table for some time without moving suddenly fall over with such a loud crash and roll completely off the table? Was this Charlton House's poltergeist striking again? The team working in the room at the time seemed convinced that all rational explanations were eliminated.
We're going to try and attract orbs. Now, how are we going to do that, Marion?
Well, basically, all we're doing here is sitting and trying to push out an energy. Do you remember what I was saying to you about when we were walking around, how you can feel that energy? Well, we're trying to do that here.
So you're drawing it from yourself, putting
yes,
it into the atmosphere, a bit like a battery?
Yes, a bit like a battery.
And you're all doing that?
And we're all doing it together.
Okay.
We've already had a vibration in the floor that could be detected by people outside of the group.
Right.
So we know that there's the energy here.
When you say vibration in the floor, do you mean you could actually feel it?
Yes, absolutely. You could actually feel it.
Wow.
So,
Paul, you're doing the same thing. Do you have a sort of different mechanism of working? How are you drawing the energy out of yourself?
No, I work in exactly
Same
the
way.
same way to Maz.
And Diana, what about you? You flash flesh in order to get the spirits to come out.
It doesn't work on the living, Jason, so it's not going to work on the dead.
Okay, so you're doing the same thing, seriously though, guys. So what you're actually doing is putting energy into the environment. We've got people around taking photographs in an attempt to catch the orbs.
We've already caught some. already. Just as soon as we came in,
Right.
we've got orbs straight away. I sent someone behind Michael. He was a gentleman, and Adam took the photograph, and bang, we've got him.
So is that evidence?
Well, it's enough evidence for me.
It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, it's enough evidence for me, and I can feel the energy around here building and building.
Okay.
It's amazing.
When we normally see this kind of setup, normally on films or on TV shows, we see people holding hands. Does that actually help with the energy build-up at all?
I think for novices, it does
Not
help.
like you, of course. You don't need it.
But all of us are in tune, if you like, and
Yeah.
we know that we're pushing the energy around the group, and we can each one of us feel so much energy here in the middle.
What about
Because they're
the
not
equipment? I
necessary-
mean, we've obviously got a TV crew here tonight. Does that affect the energies that you're talking
Well,
about?
obviously, it does. It does affect
Is
it.
that a good effect? or
No,
a
no,
bad
it's
one?
it's quite negative, because I feel spirits sense the energy, and if you can sit in a calm and controlled environment, then spirit will get used to you, come round and have a little nosy,
What
see
do
what
the
you're
spirits
doing.
actually think of what we're doing here? And we've come to investigate them. What's their kind
I just
of
think they think we're
opinion?
absolutely nutcases.
We probably are, but are they open to it? Are we sort of welcome here?
Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
Yes, definitely. What I was trying to do was concentrate on the energy in the circle when people were moving around. I was saying, stay, keep the energy, keep focused. And that's what I was trying to do with the group. I was telling them to stay focused, keep focused.
We're going to actually turn the lights off now and see if the experiment actually works and see if we do catch any of those orbs. So we'll do that now.
I am so jealous. You felt that I wasn't there. I keep missing out. And everything you guys experience, I always miss it. How was that feeling for you up there?
It was incredible up there. I mean, I wasn't actually in the room when it kicked off, but when I last went up that room, there's a smell of perfume and like a burning candle, and there's no candles up there. And it's really strange. We've had a torch roll off the table, fall off the floor, a door open and shut by itself, and it's still going on up there. So, you know, the guys are up there doing an experiment in the dark. I don't know what room they're in, but I think they're in the wrong room. They should be in that Dutch room.
Team leader Justin Oliver believes that what the investigators may be photographing are indeed body or natural energies. Is this a possible alternative explanation?
The energy is actually everything that's around you. Energy belongs in everything, from this sofa to this room to the camera. It all contains a certain amount of energy, which is natural energy. All I do is channel that energy between 2 points, i.e. my hands. Other people can channel it through their auras and vice versa. And all you end up doing is just trying to give this energy some form of physical form that someone else could actually feel. Well, during the investigation, I picked Kerry for a specific reason. We were talking about the fact that I could influence someone just by talking to them, i.e. giving them some form of suggestion, subliminal suggestion as to where to put their hands and so forth. What it is, just between the hands, you can actually feel an energy source. What I had Kerry come from below and above and actually feel that energy. And now her hands actually stopped, I would say, twice as far away as my hands are. So to me, she's feeling the energy between my hands. Everyone else seemed to actually mimic where my hands were, say, above and below. And I thought that, one, there could have been a chance of subliminal messaging going on to them, and two, because they weren't actually feeling what was going on, they weren't so sensitive. I believe that there is something. What it is, I don't know. I still have a burning question that I've got to have answered. And until I find that question, I can't answer it, I'm afraid. I believe that there is something after death. What it is, I can't be sure. I've seen things that have made me wonder. I've seen things that have made me believe so positively that there is life after death and that spirit goes on. But until I actually experience them myself, I can't comment.
I've brought a laptop computer along with some of the EVPs recorded that we got at Charlton House for you to see, or to hear, Andy. This EVP we recorded, we'd been in the Prince Henry room, and then we moved over to the allocator room, which was the Newton room, and I recorded this EVP which says Henry. Now I've interpreted it as...
Sounds like it's a posh one or something.
Yeah, there's a posh one here. It sounds like one of the entities were commenting upon
Probably Maz.
I don't know. One of our voices.
There's a posh one here.
Yeah.
That's clearly distinguishable, isn't it?
This one I've got interpreted as McCain. Perhaps it's the oven chips, people. It's quite quick, that one. Can you catch that one?
McCain, yeah. Clear.
There's some sort of quality missing, it appears to me, with the voices. It may be frequencies that aren't present. I don't really know, but I mean, I have received some voices that are heard the same by everybody, but that's really rare. I would only say about 10%.
In the past few years, a new form of evidence has been brought to the paranormal table. Captured worldwide, this mysterious phenomena called orbs has baffled paranormal investigators and scientists alike. In recent years, scientific and medical research headed by Dr. Sam Parnier of Southampton General Hospital has led us to believe that maybe these orbs are the life force that survives human bodily death. Now, we all know where the body goes, but where does the soul go?
Because the mediums are saying that they're seeing an entity or they're feeling a presence and they're directing the photographer where to take the picture, that's never been done before.
How do you do, William?
Overindulged a bit.
A full stomach, I hear then. Beer or food or wine? Or all?
You have the gout, sir.
Do you live here, William?
I have spent time here, yes. You need a physician.
Are you visiting here, William?
I am known here.
Okay, this is the first time I've actually sat in a séance before, and I must admit the feeling was pretty spooky. When they first started, for me I felt a really cold feeling around the bottom of my legs. And then when we were talking to William, we felt his presence before. If you'll notice, we mentioned his name and certain things he said, which was quite spooky to me. I'm sure these guys felt it as well. I can't explain the experience, but it's the most amazing thing ever. And I'm still feeling a bit can't explain it. It's sort of excited and nervous at the same time, but it's definitely a good feeling. Definitely.
If we assume for a second the orb that we're seeing, the ball of light, is in fact a human soul or consciousness, and that's by no means proven yet, then the intelligence and communication between the clairvoyants and this ball of light would indicate that there's something here worth researching further. And I think what intrigues me with the orbs is that we could be on the edge of a major breakthrough in research into paranormal phenomena, because if we can prove this is the human soul, what an amazing breakthrough that would be.
Have I missed anything else?
Yeah, there's a smell of burning candles up there.
And we've got
there's
candles here.
Yeah,
No.
but there's no candles upstairs. That's the thing.
You're
And there's loads of
such a
orbs up there.
cynic.
There's loads
Okay.
of orbs.
Loads of
Everywhere.
orbs.
Everywhere. Go up and have a look.
I did. I didn't see them.
Go up there, sit in a darker room for 10 minutes and let's see what happens.
You will believe. We will make you believe.
Is that
one
a
day.
threat or a promise?
No, it's a promise. It's definitely a promise.
Okay, so are we any nearer, do you think, Andy, you're sort of the investigator of the team
Well-
here? Are we any nearer to an answer to the riddle of the supernatural and ghosts?
Right, to be fair, all I've seen is a door open and close by itself. The footage that they got upstairs is going through the computer now, and hopefully it'll be, the viewers at home will be able to see it. So until I see it myself, I can't actually say whether it's paranormal or, you know, natural phenomena. I mean, things roll off tables all the time in some people's houses.
Oh, yeah, but I heard that. There was like a torch that fell off a table. Could that not just be because it's round?
Absolutely, it could be. Until we've actually seen the footage, there's supposed to be flying orbs flying around on video. They've captured them on stills camera as well. So until we actually look at it, review it.
And anyway, we
don't know.
can't call them orbs. We've got to call them fabulous globes. I was told.
Fabulous globes.
Categorically.
Can we get away with that?
Did you know anything about the Dutch room? Is there anything in the historic?
I'll have to go through the records to find out.
To see.
But
nothing. It'd be interesting to find out. 'cause
Nothing
there must
comes
be something.
to my mind. There's a lot
Not
of
yet.
rooms in this house.
Yeah, true.
Still lots of digging to do, I suppose, with the
Yes.
research there. I suppose
Yeah,
your
we
job
do
really
that.
never ends, does it? You have your head buried in books constantly. Okay, so we're not really any closer at this point. Professor Christopher French, you've been here with us in our investigation tonight. Have you witnessed or experienced anything you can't explain?
No, I'm sorry.
Nothing
no,
at all?
not at all.
Just being
Maybe I've been in the
cold.
wrong place at the wrong time. I'll look at the footage, but no.
What about the fact that it's Halloween? I mean, people expect to see things on Halloween. Don't they?
Exactly.
Do you think that's
yeah.
made a difference?
I think. I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, I think you can. Yeah. Because it's Halloween, we all wanted something to happen. Even me.
You've got a photograph of a door, Chris.
I've got a great photograph of a door.
Fantastic.
And I
So it was worth coming,
I'm going to do this every Halloween from now on. It's fantastic. Beat Scooby-Doo any day.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
you've seen nothing that convinces you just yet, but you're still open-minded.
As ever.
Maybe.
As ever.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a couple more years before we can change his view, I think. And you.
But we're going to keep trying, aren't we, for both me and...
yeah.
Well, I did see something, I have to say, live on TV, that I did see something up there I can't explain, as you brought up, and you said...
Yes, but as the viewers know, you are a bit of a cynic. So I think even if a ghost come up to you and went boo, you still wouldn't believe it. Do you not?
No, I just think I was deluded.
Just like that one standing behind your back there. See?
But I want,
No, I'm not convinced.
No.
But I honestly don't think that no matter what you see or what you experience, you will never believe in it. I mean, so much has happened.
Are you
here.
saying I'm closed-minded?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I'm not. I'm siding with Christopher. I'm
open-minded.
I'm prepared, but there is, at this point, I think I can say no evidence.
Hang on,
that we really
okay,
can
so we've had a door that's opened by itself. We've had
a torch that's rolled across
Yeah.
the table.
Round.
We've
very
seen
true.
3 things go across it, and you still.
Plus the smell of candles and
Deluded.
perfume. Plus there's stuff still going on up there as we speak.
We're going to be here, though, a little bit after the programme, so is there any possibility that once the cameras get turned off, do you think that there'll be more activity?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I think we should do? We should lock. We should lock Jason in the Dutch room for like
On my own?
on his own 15 minutes. Let's see if he believes in it or not.
Okay, fine.
Can we treat our guest stars on that? No.
No.
Okay.
I think we should lock you up there, because you're the
fine,
one
they
that
won't
believes
harm-
everything.
Yeah, I'm no
And
problem.
have you screaming through the hallways.
Of course, it might just be because we're the sceptics. It doesn't
It could
happen
be.
around
You're
us,
sending
you
out
see.
such
It's
a
happening
negative
everywhere else in the
attitude,
house,
doesn't it?
But I don't have a negative attitude, I'm just realistic.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I used to believe this stuff, but having looked at various ghost stories and stayed in various places over the years, I've come to the conclusion that it isn't real, and it really isn't enough evidence to support it. You, on the other hand, are quite the opposite, aren't you?
To a certain degree, I'm sort of 70% swaying towards belief. You've always got to keep that 30% of doubt there, otherwise it's no use being a paranormal investigator. You know, you've got to go with your feet on the floor and you've got to question everything, which is what I'm going to do when I see that footage from the Dutch room. Until I see it, I can't make any more comments on it. But you know, you can't rule out the possibility until you've actually viewed the evidence and weighed up the pros and cons and what it could be.
But you want it to be true, don't you?
Oh God,
you want it to be real. I can see it in your eyes.
I'd love that to be life after death. I mean, it'd be a pretty boring life, you know. You just hang around for sort of 70 years. And
what Sophie said. But is it not all to do with simply wanting, as I say, to believe that there is something more than us?
Well,
and that's all it is.
It's until you've actually experienced certain things, then you're never going to believe anyway.
But isn't it true, and I'm not a psychologist as yourself, Christopher, but isn't it true that human beings need to believe in something else other than our flesh and body?
Of course.
And therefore, would I be right in saying that may be a reason why people want and need to believe in ghosts, that their motivation is actually wrong?
That's right. I mean, we'd all love to believe that there is life after death, and therefore we don't need particularly strong evidence to support that. You know, we find it easy to believe things we want to believe.
Now, you're an expert. You believe. I don't, but we have got two scrutineers here with us today. Now, they are members of the public who have actually come along. One of them is a believer, one of them is not. We don't know which is which yet, so come over, guys, and you've been here all night. Sorry, what's your name?
Kim.
Kim, hi. Are you the believer or the sceptic?
I'm the believer.
So you believed already. What do you believe now?
I've actually seen orbs.
You've seen them. Fantastic. So you believe. Well, thanks very much, everybody. We'll leave you there beavering away tonight. I'm sure you're going to be there for some time to come yet. So have we changed your perception of ghosts? Is the supernatural all that, or is it just the natural world we don't currently understand? We'll leave that for you to decide. But don't have a restless night. Always remember that it's the living you have to worry about, not the dead. Happy Halloween and thanks for watching. Good night.